What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I've got great news. I'm a finalist for a Shorty Award. Go vote for your boy and make sure I bring this award home. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for making Club Shay a success.
Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning. Happy Friday, guys.
Good morning.
Well, I guess I have to pull this out of mothballs, shake it out a little bit here, get it ready for the NBA Finals. If I could, let's see this on the back. Got a city jersey here. This isn't purple and gold. This is the Clippers. The Clippers are back in business. Happy days are here again. Playoff Rondo is where he rightfully belongs. In the basement with the Clippers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Skip?
Yeah.
Was there anybody available yesterday that the teams really wanted? Why wasn't Nikola Jokic on the market? Why wasn't LeBron, the AD?
Why are you changing the subject from the only move of the day that anybody cared about, Rondo to the...
Oh, Rondo was a big move.
It was.
Okay.
That is true. It is
No,
what
that's what
everyone
you're talking
was
about.
talking about. It is what we are about to talk about. How about this? Rajon Rondo is returning to the city he just won a title in, but not the team he won a title with. Skip just pointed out with that jersey. Yesterday, the LA Clippers acquired Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Lou Williams and 2 future second-round picks. Rondo will provide some pass-first leadership out of the guard spot, something Clippers coach Ty Lue is very excited about, telling reporters he's fiery. That's what we need. And Skip, I know you think it's a good move. I saw you tweet last night. Congrats, Clippers. You just won your first NBA championship. Which means I gotta ask Shannon how he feels about that. Shannon, does Rondo make the Clippers the favorites in the West?
No, 5 cases right now, they don't win a title.
5 cases.
5 cases.
Let's just do the West. I'll take them in the West.
Okay, 5 cases.
5, got it.
Cases.
Boom, thank you.
No, Skip, he does not make them the favorite. Rondo, AD, healthy. LeBron and AD, the Lakers, are still the favorite in the West. Now, I like some of the moves, the Nuggets, I like what they did. I like the JaVale McGee. I understand they get Aaron Gordon, a big body, can bang with LeBron, or Kawhi, or Paul George. But for this situation, Rondo, he's averaging less than 4 points a game on 40% shooting. He's 3.5 assists, 15 minutes, all career lows, while he's missed 17 games. Now, you know at some point he's going to miss some more time. The question is, Skip, how does Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, with the most sensitive and thinnest of skins, take Rondo when he shoots them straight? Y'all not playing well. Y'all are not where you're supposed to be. How do they handle that? Because we saw what happened. They got Trez up out of there. They got Sweet Lou up out of there. JaMychal Green's gone. Everybody that might have said, you know, come on, guys. Y'all need to hold up y'all end of the bargain is gone. So Rondo, you know how Skip, Rondo is very mercurial. He gonna tell you straight. And it rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially if you're not used to his abrasive style of leadership. It's not for everybody, but it's tried and true. He's been with some strong, you got to be strong-minded. Think about it, Skip. He's with KG and Paul Pierce. He's with Bron. He's with AD. So you have to be strong-minded to be able to deal with him. And so that's we're going to see how that shakes out. Skip, I just don't know if Rondo, Atlanta couldn't wait to get him. Atlanta outbid everybody, gave him a 2-year deal when no one else had more than 1 year on the table for him. Atlanta says, you know what? We got a nice, solid guy to back up Trae Young, so we don't have to have Trae playing 38, 40 minutes a game. And Skip, it didn't work out well. Rondo has been a major disappointment in Atlanta. Maybe because he went there. It's hard going from a championship team to the Hawks. But he goes to a team now, but he doesn't make them the favorite, Skip. I'm sorry. I don't like to break bad news to you first thing in the morning, because I feel like it's somewhat of a downer that I'm starting your day off like this. But you're not the best team in the West, and you're not going to be the representative in the NBA Finals coming out of the West. Now, that's that.
Okay, it is my turn, and forgive me because I got so excited as we opened the show, I just tore my mic right off, so I'm going to hold it because I'm going to hold you hostage as I go right here. And I'm going to shoot you straight on what just happened.
Okay.
In the biggest picture, the great Jerry West, who once upon a time was the architect of the Los Angeles Lakers and one of the greatest Lakers who ever played, and he remains to this day the logo of this league.
The logo.
Maybe we should change that, but that's a whole different topic for another day. But the great Jerry West, over the last 4 years, has overseen the Los Angeles Clippers. For a while, he oversaw Golden State, and you saw them take off into their dynastic days, and here come the Clippers. I believe that Jerry West bamboozled the Lakers and the entire NBA for Rajon Rondo. What happened during the last free agent period? Did I not come in here day after day and pound this table? The Clippers need Rondo. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I said he could be the head of the snake that they do not have.
Right.
As much as I love Kawhi Leonard, as much as he can distribute the basketball, he leads them in assists as we speak right now.
Right.
He's not a point guard.
No.
He's not a point forward.
No.
And he's not a leader of a basketball
No.
team. I've said that from the start.
No.
He grew up in the shadows of Duncan and Parker and Ginobili.
Right.
And he was a great young player and a defensive player of the year and a finals MVP, but he was not the leader of the Spurs. No. He did become somewhat the leader of a team that is still run by Kyle Lowry in Toronto, and they did break through, but they got a lot of breaks because they got a lot of injuries on the other side.
Literally breaks.
Literal breaks. Literal breaks that they got. God bless all of them. But Paul George, I've told you from the start, he can turn into George Paul. He can turn into Pandemic P. For a while last night against my Spurs, he was Pandemic P, and then he made a couple shots at the end, and they won back-to-back in San Antonio. But the point is, Paul George is nothing but a complimentary star who is not the leader of a basketball team. So Ty Lue is now the coach, and Ty Lue, once upon a time, was the mentor of a young Rajon Rondo in Boston under Doc Rivers when Ty was Doc's lead assistant.
He was.
And up came Rajon Rondo. And you want to talk about the gumption this kid had, the you-know-whats this kid had, to stand up to, wait a second, to Paul and Ray and KG and just tell them, no, sit yo, you-know-what down. I got this, right? And Ty Lue had to sort of govern him and show him the ropes and teach him the way. But he took over, and they broke through and won a championship. And last year, the harder I looked last night at what Rondo did for your team, he was the essential ingredient for you in the bubble, and especially in the finals. My goodness. I look at this. He had 19 points in the closeout game against Miami with 4 rebounds and 4 assists. He had 16 points in game 2, which was a crucial game against Miami. My point is, every time I looked up in the playoffs, he was making a key 3 or just some key basketball play. It could be a steal. It could be a pass. It just could be a play that you said, well, they don't have anybody who makes that play. As great as LeBron is, as great as AD has been, it took playoff Rondo to catalyze the Lakers in the bubble. Am I right?
Yeah, but Skip, here's the thing, though. You couldn't play LeBron 48 minutes. And plus, because Rondo had been in those situations, it was a lot easier. They trusted him, having been the point guard on a starting championship team.
I understand, but he made them fly in the bubble, and he's going to make these Clippers fly. And I told you, they don't have, you said it from the start, and I have not disagreed with you. Patrick Beverley, I don't even know what he is. He's not a point guard. No. He's just a little bulldog, pit bull of a defender. That's what he is. He's a disruptor. He's an agitator, and he brings a lot of life to that team. And he's still on that team. They didn't trade Pat Beverley for Rondo. They traded a Lou Williams, he always had an old man's game, but now he looks a little more like an old man than he ever did at 35.
He going home.
Okay, he's going back to Atlanta. He grew up in a suburb, and what did you nickname him in the bubble?
Oh, Lemon Pepper.
Lemon Pepper Lou. And that was the beginning of the end of Lou as a Clipper, because I don't think that organization ever quite got over that.
It's tough. It's tough, Skip, because the guys, you're like, okay, we're going to compete for a title, and here's you out there bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exactly what it was. So the great Jerry West tried to fit Rondo under their cap, but they just didn't have the exception to be able to pay him the way the Hawks could pay him.
He wanted 2 years.
Okay, he wanted 2 years. The Lakers did not have the money to pay him, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to keep Rondo if they could.
Go 2 years.
So he goes to Atlanta, and he gets paid, but I am convinced, I do not know this for a fact, I'm educated guessing on this, that Jerry West said, hey, take your money and run to Atlanta, And we'll do our darndest to come and get you at the trade deadline so you can have your cake and eat it too, right? Because, okay, so to your point, you just rattled off his stats in Atlanta. Yeah. He just got paid. That's all it was. He didn't want to play behind Trae Young. Come on. Rajon Rondo just won a ring for the Lakers, and he wants to sit behind Trae Young, who has one of the highest usage rates in the league, and is a turnover machine. He doesn't want to do that.
It's his team.
Okay, it's his team, and Rondo's been playing 15 minutes a night, averaging 4, 2, and 4. He has been mailing it in.
Yeah.
He has been on ice in Atlanta, just sort of biding his time and staying fresh for the stretch run with the Lakers. And again...
You mean for the Clippers?
I mean for the Clippers, sorry. And against the Lakers. And the point is that I was afraid they were going to have to give up a bigger piece like Marcus Morris Sr. No, just lemon pepper Lou.
Right.
And again, he's had a little bit of a resurgence, which actually helped his trade value over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. He's been pretty good. He just doesn't look the same to me. He never was an explosive athlete, but he's 35 years old. Right. So is Rondo. But Rondo looks just the same as he looked in Boston.
But the difference is, Skip, they count on Sweet Lou to go give them 13 to 15 points off the bench on a nightly basis. They're never going to expect Rondo to give them that. He just needs to get them in and out of the right sets. If he can do that, but Skip, I believe this was a move they almost had to do because you mortgage so much of your future with Paul George, with Kawhi.
No doubt.
Remember, Kawhi can walk after this season. Skip, it's winter now. So who's to say if they don't win it this year, Kawhi, like, man, hold on. Now, we done had 2 years to try to get this thing right.
Agreed.
So,
agreed. You had to do it.
Right.
And they did it. They pulled it off.
Right.
The way I wanted them to pull it off going into the season. But guess what? They've been pretty good this year. You can say they just treaded water, but they've treaded water right in there as the 3 seed, about to be the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. They're moving up on everybody. And the point is that the Los Angeles Clippers are still leading the league in three-point shooting. They are still leading the league in free throw shooting. And over the last 6 games, very quietly, sort of off camera, under the radar, would you believe they are leading the league in defensive efficiency over the last 6 games? They're starting to click on defense.
Yeah, but you ain't list the teams they played. San Antonio, some bums.
Well, bums?
Yes.
They're the 8th seed. Is that bums?
Bummish.
Really?
Bummish.
Oh, Shannon Sharp just called these Spurs bums. We'll see how that happens. We'll see if you meet the bums in the playoffs and see how you handle the bums.
Oh, hold on, Skip.
Yeah.
So you expect, say, if the Lakers were to meet the Spurs,
you'd have your
healthy AD and LeBron.
And a healthy Spurs. Yep. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah, if you got a healthy young Tim Duncan, maybe.
You know how hard it is to go into San Antonio and win back-to-back? It is hard, and the Clippers did it.
Skip, they only having 2 people there. There wasn't no fans.
The Clippers last night, speaking of having no people there was no Serge Ibaka, and there's no Patrick Beverley, and there was no Kawhi Leonard last night, and there was no Marcus Morris Sr., and they still won because they're the deepest team in basketball.
Well, you see the difference in the ball game. You see Reggie Jackson. When you let Reggie Jackson don't have to worry about distributing, he can just go get buckets. He plays.
I think he was still supposed to worry about distributing, but he just didn't. He just shoots it. He's the ultimate camouflage point guard because he's nothing but a 2 guard.
Nothing but.
But I like him coming off the bench, and I like Luke Kennard coming off the bench. They have depth.
Right.
And young Terrence Mann, you don't sleep on him. Yeah. He's turning into a basketball player.
He play. I like his game. I like his game. Okay. A lot of hustle. He does all the little things right.
And reportedly, the Clippers are also into the buyout market because they are going for broke.
They got to.
Hey, they got to. Reportedly, they are in on your man, Andre Drummond. We'll talk about him in just a couple of minutes here. And reportedly, they're still in on LaMarcus Aldridge, the ex-Spur who has hit the buyout market, right?
Those are the 2. I've never seen 2 guys command more attention in the buyout market than LaMarcus Aldridge and Andre Drummond. Okay. If you didn't know better, you swear Drummond was Shaq and LaMarcus Aldridge was David Robinson.
But that's what happens with the buyout market. I get it. But our man Chris Haynes, we had on yesterday for Yahoo, is reporting there are 6 teams interested in Andre Drummond, including the Nets and the Clippers and obviously the Lakers.
Right.
And the Knicks are now in that derby, and the Knicks actually have easily the most money they could pay for whoever they wanted, whichever these buyouts that they wanted. Okay? That could be a problem for your Lakers.
That could be a problem for the Clippers, too. That can be a problem from anybody, considering they're $50 million under the cap. Plus, they can give him more than anybody else can, and they can say, well, look here, next year you play well. But I think here's the thing that Andre needs to understand. If you win a title, the money's going to be there. What are they going to say? Oh, you won a title. You didn't come here with us. We don't want you now. So him winning a title will only increase his value, even if it's not the Knicks. It shows that, you know what? He can play in a system. He's more than just, a space eater. He can contribute on a winning team that can win a championship. So I think his value he would greatly increase if he were to go to a team that's going to compete for a title.
So my bottom line to what happened yesterday. What happened in the bubble to my Clippers, they're looking ahead to your Lakers, and they think, we got this, and they just flex their muscles and stick their chests out, and they just pulverize the Denver Nuggets and go up 3-1 on them. And then what happened? Disaster struck.
They collapse. Kawhi, Paul George collapse.
Okay, so question to you. If Rajon Rondo had been a Clipper in the bubble during that series against the Nuggets, do you think they collapse? Because I'm a big no on that.
Well, we can't do that, Skip. I mean, do you think Kawhi have the second ring if KD doesn't tear his Achilles and Klay doesn't rupture his knee? Nobody believes that Toronto was beating Golden State, a healthy Golden State. So we can't do hypothetical. Just what we know. They should have been able to close. You up 3-1. You got up 3-1 without Rondo.
And they got up 3-1 in dominating fashion.
Okay, so what happened?
They got big double-digit leads in all 3 games. And it wasn't like they went to the buzzer in all 3 games and were just hanging on for dear life. They were in commanding position to close it out in 5, 6, and 7.
As dominating of a fashion as they got up, they went out like some buzzers.
Okay. Rondo will put a stop to that. Head of snake. There's a new coach on the floor named Rajon Rondo. He will be the eyes and ears of Ty Lue on the floor. You know it, and I know it.
So Kawhi gonna be accepting of that?
Well, he better be. He's gonna have to be.
What about Paul George?
Well, they're going to have thicker skin because they're going to get earfuls from the guy who, as you say, shoots straight. And he's going to shoot them right between the eyes, right? Both of them.
But Skip, if you remember what happened when somebody shot Kawhi Leonard straight, he shot it down and says, "Get me up out of here." When San Antonio tried to put him down and shoot him straight, bro, guess what happened?
Well, that was Greg Popovich. This is Ty Lue.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is a team that Kawhi knows is right on the verge of winning it all with him as the centerpiece. It doesn't take away from his glory. He will get fed the basketball. In fact, I think he will see right away he's going to get better shots in better spots than he ever did, because half the time, to my fury, I have to watch Kawhi Leonard dribble into a shot. And if you have to keep doing that, you're going to lose. I'm sorry.
Yes, Skip, but that's the thing. Doc said, well, I didn't know how good Kawhi could be as a facilitator. Yes, for a play here or there. But to do that 38 minutes a game, like LeBron has had to do his entire career. Paul George wants the ball in his hands. Yes, that's fine and good. But, bruh, that's not your game. Your game is not facilitating and scoring. You are a scorer and a wing defender.
Right.
Sometimes. Kawhi, I do believe Rondo will make it easier because Rondo will get them in the sets, and like you said, he won't have to spend all this time dribbling and trying to generate offense for someone else.
That's
now
correct.
He can go get to his his spot, and Rondo can get him to rock.
And the man who will benefit the most from Rondo's presence is the man who will chafe against him the most in the beginning, and that is Pandemic P.
Yeah.
Because he will do it out of love, but it'll be tough love, but he will shake him. He may just shake his shoulders and say, you are better than this, because he is better than this.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, you know how he goes. For a while last night, he was 10 for 26, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because it's wrong. He's a better player than that. But he loses focus. He loses faith. He loses confidence in himself. Rondo will literally shake him and say, no, snap out of it. You're Paul George.
He's the ultimate streak shooter, Skip. We saw what happened in the first game, opening night. He was ice cold in the first half, and then he couldn't miss in the second half. We watched him in the All-Star game, Skip. He couldn't miss. I'm talking about he was taking between the legs, behind the back, threes in people's face. That's who he is.
Hey, Paul George is a huge talent.
He
is a huge, at least a top 10 in the league talent. Just talent.
Skill, yes. I mean, you talk about a guy that's 6'8", can shoot the mid-range, can shoot the three, can get to the rack. He's 85% shooting from the free throw line. Yes, he's extremely talented. And he's better now than he was before he broke his leg. And we thought like he broke his leg, like, damn, is he going to ever be able to come back?
True.
He's come back better.
Yep.
But so it just... Skip, like I said, all this don't matter to me. I want to see him do that in the playoffs. That's what everybody wants to see. Now, we've seen it early in his career at Indiana. Skip, we like, okay, LeBron got a sure enough rival in the East. And it never really blossomed after that, 2014 in Indiana. It never really blossomed again.
Nope.
And he's never played that well in the playoffs again. So we're going to see. I mean, you say you got Rondo. That's what you wanted. You've been hoping and praying, staying up late at night.
Final piece to the championship puzzle. Rajon Rondo. He is made for this team at this moment.
Good luck putting a 1,000-piece puzzle together back in 3 months.
Well, we'll see about that. You got way more problems than I have because you got 1,000 problems.
Guess what? We got the problem solver.
Yeah.
Go James.
Go James.
If there's a problem that has to do with basketball, Go James can figure it out.
Who may be out until May.
Don't worry about you worried about that. But I tell you what. But when we come back, see Dad might not be home. Grandpa might not be home.
Yeah.
But if you've been acting a fool, you already know when he get there, he ought to be played. He might not come back till May. But when he come back...
Really? Everybody's in trouble?
Yeah, a heap of it.
Really?
A heap of it.
You're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Kawhi don't want to see him.
Rondo just went to the
Paul
basement.
George don't want to see him.
Rondo went to the basement.
But let me tell you what you're going to do. I already know what you're going to do. LeBron James got the biggest break. Solomon Hill, it was a blessing in disguise. Just like the when the pandemic hit and he got that break, that was the best thing ever happened. You're gonna find a reason to try to discredit, but I won't let you.
And you've already got the biggest excuse you've had in your career is LeBron just doesn't have enough help. We struck out at the trade deadline and in the buyout market. We struck out.
You watched him. I bet my homeboy, I said in 16 games, what do you think their record will be? He said, I think they'll be 5-11, maybe 6-10. I called him back again yesterday. I said, what you think their record going to be? He said 2-14, maybe. I said, okay. Now you're talking.
Well, let me put my mic down and shake this out a little
One more time. Let's show it off. Shake it off.
Hold on. You got You got a Reggie Jackson jersey?
Reggie Jackson.
Read Reggie Jackson #1.
This is me. I'm #1, baby.
Yeah, give it. Let me
no.
I'm surprised you're not wearing it under your suit right now. You're pretty excited about the jersey. I saw you post the picture in the hat as well. This is an excited and optimistic Skip Bayless for you guys.
No mercy.
The brand new Fox Sports app is a finalist for the 13th annual Shorty Awards. I love it. I do not download any apps. I simply do not. I'm an old man. I don't know how to use my phone. I don't like apps. I don't like clutter. But the Fox Sports app is so sleek. It has everything you would ever want. So I got it on my phone. You should have it too. You should also vote for us for the Shorty Awards. You can vote in the description below. Vote once a day. Vote for the Fox Sports app. We are a finalist. We need this. Do it, America.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
The trade deadline came and went, and the Lakers did not end up acquiring Kyle Lowry as many expected. The point guard stayed with the Raptors after Toronto reportedly declined LA's offer. Dennis Schroeder, Tavius Caldwell-Pope, THT, and Alfonso McKinney. The Lakers are now left to work the buyout market to improve their roster before the playoffs. So, Shannon, what do you think happened here?
Well, what I'm thinking happened is not what you read. I heard the sticking point was THT. They were not willing to put him in any trade, and so that was the sticking point. They were willing to part with Dennis Schroeder. They were willing to part with KCP. But when it came to THT, what my NBA sources have told me, that was a no-go. And so that's why Toronto pulled the offer from the Lakers, and no one else could even meet that standard. But for me, Skip, when I look at it, is Kyle Lowry that much of an upgrade over Dennis Schroeder? I don't believe he is. And you're talking about a 35-year-old rental. That's what he's going to be. You're not going to give him, he wanted assurances. Whomever traded for him was going to give him 2 years at least $25 million a year. That's no way the Lakers are going to do that. So for me, I don't think he was going to be an upgrade. Sure, but I'd love to have him. Sure, but was he going to change the life of the Lakers? I don't believe he was. Maybe he was going to help them tread water a little better until LeBron and them get back, Skip. But I believe the sticking point is THT, a 20-year-old with tremendous upside. I remember listening to Pat Riley talk. He's like, we couldn't get rid of Duncan Robinson. We couldn't get rid of Tyler Hero. Skip, one's 21, the other 22, 23. They're good players right now. We think they're going to be great. And that was just, we weren't willing to take that chance. They believe THT can be really, really good. So you're going to part ways with a 20-year-old for a 35-year-old rental? Because that's what he is, Skip, that's a rental. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I remember when you used to go to the airport, Skip, get a car. I mean, I had a little money back then. I get a fancy car. One costs like $100 a day. You know, back then, Skip, you get $95, $99, or you get the $39 special. Mm-hmm. And I ain't know any better, Skip, but I'll floss it. Then it dawned on me one day, you do realize you're in a rental. You're going to have to take this thing back.
Yep.
So instead of spending $100 plus tax on a car, get you something that's practical, $39, $40, and be happy with it. Mm. That's what Kyle Lowry was. He was going to be a rental, and you're going to give up guys with tremendous upside. THT. Now, also one of the things, Skip, with Schroeder, they've been haggling back and forth. Schroeder's going to want a max contract. I'm not so sure the Lakers believe he's a max player. So that's what the sticking point is. So that's why they were willing to part with him. And it's still not a foregone conclusion that they're going to sign him. They might sign and trade this offseason. But I've heard the sticking point was THT. Nothing else. It wasn't about, they turned him down. Because, Skip, think about what you've already given up. Mm-hmm. You bringing Kyle Lowry back to do what? And you say, well, we feel good. I read a report reading on somewhere where they said we feel real comfortable that we'll be able to sign and trade Kyle Lowry. Mm. You brought him back to sign and trade him? Mm. No, you could have gotten assets, but you also wanted, you say, well, this is what we want. Mm. It didn't happen. So I'm glad the Lakers, because I like THT. I think he can be a really good player for the Lakers.
Okay. There's an old cliche in sports. Sometimes the best trade is the one you don't make.
It is true.
And I told you yesterday, I first guessed this. This was a bad idea. And I was pleasantly surprised for your side that you didn't pull this trigger because you were trying hard to make this happen. Mm-hmm. It was desperation. I think it would have undercut whatever chance you did have to win it all, come back-to-back this year. And I told you yesterday that I've never gotten Kyle Lowry. I don't disrespect him. Right. I have some respect, but he's 6 feet tall, and he's 35 years old as of yesterday. And he has made six All-Star teams, but he averages for his career 15, 4, and 6.
Well, Skip, we've gotten spoiled with all these other great point guards from Steph Curry to Dame to Russ and Kyrie. So we look at him like, huh? Yeah, he's blah. These other guys giving you 25, 30 on a nightly basis.
Okay, is he a little pit bull of a baller from North Philadelphia? You better believe he is. Is he the heart and soul of that franchise? Is he the most beloved Raptor in Raptor history?
Yes.
Unless you threw out Vince Carter. I don't know, but just
DeMar DeRozan was safe.
He was up there, but Kyle, just on duration, on longevity, has taken over as the number one Raptor. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? The Raptors are 18 and 24. They're, 2.5 games out of the playoffs?
Right.
Well, he's having his, numbers-wise, he's actually having his career year.
Yeah.
And what's happening? They're one of the top 3 disappointments in pro basketball, right?
Yes.
So how is he going to change the face of the Lakers? Because there are nights with Schroeder and KCP, and obviously when LeBron and AD are healthy, they look good. Mm-hmm. And the mix and the flow with Schroeder and LeBron was much better than I thought it would be immediately, because Schroeder came in with low to no ego because he had mostly been a sixth man.
Right.
And he did demand to start, and I was a little taken aback by that, but he backed it up because he blended with LeBron. He actually deferred to LeBron right away to the point that he and LeBron meshed. And it works pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Kyle Lowry and LeBron would mesh. I'm just not sure about that because Kyle Lowry wants the ball in his hands, I'd say a lot more than Schroeder needs to have the ball in his hands. So the point is, I thought it was a bad idea from the start, and it was desperate just because you're not sure when you're going to get LeBron back. I think you're not sure if you're going to get AD back this year. I think that's still up for grabs because it's involving the Achilles tendon, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the end, I don't know what Masai Ujiri is doing in Toronto, but he was just sort of sitting back thinking, I got the ultimate asset on this trade deadline market, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have to knock my socks off. And maybe that was the sticking point. We just know there was one report, for what it's worth, that THT was in the package.
Right.
You say you hear no.
I heard no.
Okay, maybe that was the sticking point there. Obviously, Philadelphia, there were reports early yesterday that they were nearing a deal with Philadelphia, who wound up with George Hill. I'm not a George Hill guy. I've told you that from the start.
Let me ask you this. Why wouldn't, if you want to get rid of Kyle Lowry, why wouldn't you take KCP, Schroeder, and THT for Kyle Lowry?
Well, is he in or out of the pack? If he's in the package, now you're really shocking me because you should take that deal.
That's my point.
Yes.
That's my point. Masai Ujiri turned that down.
I guess so.
No.
Well, maybe he has an overinflated opinion of Kyle Lowry because I don't.
He couldn't have an overinflated because he tried to trade him.
But it's clear they're near starting over. They're about to start completely over because they sent Norman Powell to Portland. So, okay, now what?
Skip, I think the thing is they're hoping that these teams that say, well, you know what, we might be a piece away, get desperate and just give you a Herschel Walker type deal.
Okay.
And the Lakers like, no.
I have no idea what Philly offered for Kyle Lowry, but he would have been a much better fit in Philly than he would have been in L.A. because he's from there. Went to high school, played in college at Villanova out on the main line. So it's in his blood. And you want to talk about heart and soul, those Sixer fans would have embraced him.
Skip, but I'm surprised that there was just this much swell for Kyle Lowry. Skip, remember he was a free agent just a couple of years ago. And the market said, no, go back to Toronto.
Yep.
So I'm surprised. It wasn't like nobody offered him a 4-year deal. Nobody offered him a 5-year deal. He went back on a 2-year deal to Toronto. And now all of a sudden, 2 years later, he's 2 years older.
Yep.
And people are like, oh, we got to have Kyle Lowry as the missing ingredient. To what cake? To what dish?
Okay. So now you're faced with the larger issue. You've got the buyout market.
Yes.
And you're still fixated on.
That was on Skip. For me, I always thought that was going to be because they didn't really have any assets to be able to trade.
Okay.
They don't have first-round picks. They don't have. So basically, you got Kyle Kuzma, you got KCP, you got Schroeder, maybe Trez. But really, except with that, that's really the only pieces that you have. Obviously, AD and Bron are untouchable. So, and after you watch these guys play, Skip, do you really think? I mean, you watched them over since LeBron has been out. Come on.
Okay. So is it Andre Drummond or bust for you?
Well, I would like to have Andre Drummond, but there's a lot of people bidding for Andre Drummond. And does he take, hey, look, I'm never going to tell a guy to take less money. You got to, what's important to you? He did sign a 5-year deal, 127, I think, in 2016, Skip. He's made good money, but you could never make enough money. So if he values money, go to the highest bidder.
It would be the Knicks.
Yeah.
Because they can bid the highest.
They can bid the highest. Whiteside, haven't heard anything about him on the buyout market. JaVale McGee got traded to the Nuggets. Maybe they'll be in on the LaMarcus Aldridge, but the buyout market was always the way the Lakers were going to be headed. They weren't going to be able to do a whole lot.
So
trading.
I'm surprised by your reaction to Andre Drummond today because yesterday you were saying Andre Drummond and we win it all.
Yeah, we do. We do.
You still there?
Yeah, I still am. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, you don't seem very excited about it.
But Skip, here's the thing. You never know how someone's going to choose. If it was just between us, but you got Charlotte, you got the Knicks, you got the Nets, you got Brooklyn.
You got the Clippers.
Not Brooklyn, you got the Clippers, you got the Lakers.
Yeah.
Skip, you got 6 or 7 teams that are interested in him. So Andre Drummond has never felt so wanted in all of his life. In junior high, he ain't never been so wanted in all his life. We want that. Maybe he's coming out. When you 6'10" and you can play basketball, obviously there are a lot of colleges, but I'm talking about, Skip, NBA teams. that want this young man because he's 27, 28?
27, yep.
Let that sink in, Skip. The guy's a career almost 14 rebounds a game at 27 years of age. And he's free. Gets to go anywhere, and he's going to be able to go back into the market again next year.
Okay, but I'm going to remind you one more time. In playoff games, he is 0 for 8. Nobody has lost that many games without a win since he came into the league. Again, it's Detroit's fault because he was...
Jordan would have if he'd played the Celtics in back-to-back years like he had to play LeBron.
But Andre Drummond from the free throw line in his 8 playoff games is 20 of 55. That's 36%. Think of that, 20 of 55. So he's missed 35 out of 55 free throws. Do you love that?
I don't love that, Skip, but guess what? Y'all be playing with 8 players because we're going to foul about 5 of you out.
Okay. Well, they're going to be fouling this man a whole lot.
That's okay.
Because you got Hackett Drummond coming.
He gonna be all right.
Yeah.
He get with LeBron, he gonna get that confidence and watch you start swishing. He's 62%.
He's a career 47%.
62%.
Oh, he's going to get that confidence from a 69% free throw shooter, LeBron James, the quote-unquote GOAT?
4
really?
for 4.
Huh.
4 titles.
He's going to get confidence from the worst superstar free throw shooter I've ever seen? Really?
Malone, you say
Maybe they're going to hang out together in the gym after practice just shooting free throws.
That's right. That's what we do. Competition.
Yeah, free throw practice, right? Way to go.
Free throw competition.
Okay, and I also remind you that Andre Drummond at UConn played 1 NCAA game and got blown out by the 9 versus his 8 seed Iowa State. And he scored 2 points in that game.
You make it seem like it was a 16-1.
Okay, but I'm just saying he's never been in the spotlight before, and now you're trying to push him into savior territory.
Let me ask you a
like
question.
he's going to be your savior.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
If he goes to the Nets, will he be in the spotlight? If he goes to Clippers, will he be in the spotlight?
I know, but it just seems like you're the one most desperate for him.
So I'm the only one?
Well, you're already out there saying we win it all if we get Andre Drummond.
It's just because there's no one. I'm sure if there was a Brooklyn Nets fan sitting up here, he would say the same thing. If you got, I tell you what, let him go to the Clippers and watch you come out here singing that. You be doing cartwheels.
Well, he'd just be the backup center to Big Zoo. We got Big Zoo, and he had been dominating. He used to be a Laker. You could have him right now.
Let me ask you a question. If y'all got Big Zoo and you got Serge Ibaka, why are you on the market for Andre Drummond?
I'm assuming to keep him away from the Lakers, but I don't know.
So that's what y'all do. So that's what y'all do, huh?
Yeah.
You don't even see.
We're just trying to load up and just make this win or else right now.
That's tacky.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody.
No, it's smart.
To keep me from having her, you say you can't have her.
Ruthlessly smart.
If I can't have her, you can't. What kind of bull jive is that, Skip? For real? Is that how y'all are? Y'all the jilted lover. She doesn't want to be with y'all. Let her be happy.
All I know is there's The Athletic report that LeBron could be out as many as 5 more weeks, which would be 6 weeks total, which would mean that's all of April. That means you got 9 games left in May to be thrown back together with AD and maybe Dre, as in Andre Drummond.
Skip, I told you that from the beginning. Ooh. You ain't want to listen to me. You told me I was going to be short. I said, no, it's not.
I don't get this.
I get it.
I have no idea.
I get it.
The same guy I saw just a week ago, he gets his ankle turned by Solomon Hill, and he rises, but then he bounces right up, and he plays, and he makes a 3, and I see him trot up the court. I watch him trot up the court, and that guy's going to be out for 6 total weeks?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Easy.
He's Iron Man. He's the most durable superstar I have ever observed.
Yeah, he's been very fortunate to stay away from those little ticky-tack injuries. But when he gets a serious injury, it puts him down, like the groin, like the high ankle sprain.
Yeah. Lakers are now 28-17. They lost again last night. They're all the way down to the 4 seed, and here right behind them comes Denver. Denver got better. Here comes Portland. Portland got a little better. Here comes Dallas right behind him. They got J.J. Redick.
Skip,
Man.
I told you, Skip, I told you. They're going to be playing for the play-in. I told you that.
You did say that.
But you said, no.
Well, I thought LeBron would be back way sooner than later, like maybe a week.
No, ain't nobody coming back for no high ankle sprain in no week.
Come on.
And he's been posting a lot of pictures about all the rehab. I saw, did you see the one with Savannah where she's kind of
she put
the knee?
Putting that sage on it,
Exactly.
that spirit.
We are cleansing the space. We're going to get LeBron back going.
You a hater, too.
As
setting it
quickly
up
as
for the big
possible.
No mercy.
And we are back on Undisputed, and we apologize for our audio issues. And I apologize to Shannon Sharp because I was about to just go in on you about my Dallas Cowboys, but we will save that for a little later in the show because we must move on to a game that was played at Staples Center last night that you don't want any part of.
I don't.
You have to talk about it right now because Dwight Howard got his Lakers championship ring in the pregame ceremony. 76ers beat your Lakers 109-101. However, Dwight didn't give up the spotlight there as he was ejected at the end of the first quarter after a couple of brush-ups with Montrezl Harrell. Philly coach Doc Rivers called both Howard and his former player Montrez clowns for their roles in the incident. Shannon, what do you make of said incident?
I make that Dwight just can't help himself, and that's something that has plagued him his entire career. I expected him to have a game like Danny Green. I told you Danny Green was going to show out, didn't I? Well, I tell you, that he can't make threes for the Lakers because the purple and gold is heavy. Playing next to LeBron, that's a lot of pressure. He couldn't miss last night.
He could make them for broccoli, as in my Spurs.
Yeah, he
set the record for finals back in 2013.
He did.
Okay.
And Skip, the thing was, I said, you know what? And Dwight got off to the great start. Skip, he was 3 for 3 for the field goal, 6 points, had an offensive rebound, had 2 blocks. So he was off and going, and he just couldn't help himself. Even like, as you mentioned in the read, even after he had gotten his ring, he couldn't be, he just got to do something. And that's what was so frustrating about Dwight Howard. He just couldn't get out of his own way. He was always doing something utterly ridiculous. Whether he, instead of practicing his post-up move, he's throwing hook shots from half court with a backpack on. Instead of working on fundamentals, he was doing something that he shouldn't have. There was no need for that. Bro, you walk right there, and Kane Fitzgerald, he knows Kane Fitzgerald. Kane Fitzgerald is the only man that's ever tossed LeBron James out of the game.
He's your favorite referee.
So you already know he has a short hook. He'd already given you a tee.
It was fast, too.
Yes.
It was just like, you are gone.
And because he watched it.
Yep.
They had already had their eyes on those two. They're going to make sure this thing doesn't get out of hand. It's a national televised game, Skip. So I'm sure they're already on heightened alert. And Dwight Howard pretend like he don't know where he walking, and he walked right in the Trey's path. And Kane Fitzgerald said, don't even worry about it, bro.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, go to the showers. But Dwight, you got to be better than this, Dwight. And the thing was, you're already playing without Joel Embiid, and so now you left the tallest guy on the court is Ben Simmons. Luckily, the Lakers don't have anybody that can post up. Marc Gasol is 7 foot tall, and he's out past the three-point line trying to initiate offense. Get your big butt down on the block and punish them. Skip, they had Tobias Harris guarding Marc Gasol. Tobias Harris, what, 6'7", 6'8"? Guarding a 7-footer. Why? Because he's out past the three-point line. But back to Dwight Howard.
He shrank, Marc Gasol. I think he's like 6'8" now.
He's been playing like he's 6'2". Dwight, be better than this. Stop this foolishness. Skip, this is the kind of things that in a playoff game cause you to lose.
Okay, I got it. But to me, this ran deep in Dwight. Remember the tweet that he posted briefly at the height of free agency in which he said, and I'm going to read the tweet right here, I'm staying right where I belong. Laker Nation, I love y'all. Purple and gold never gets old. Boom, over and out.
Right.
It seemed like seconds later, delete tweet. Why? Because he's suddenly informed, I guess, by his agent that, whoops, the Lakers just went in a different direction because Montrez came available. I don't think Rob Pelinka and company thought that Montrez would be that available to them. And they jumped all over it with both feet because the Clippers were suddenly out on a Montrez that everybody assumed they would do whatever they needed to keep Montrez. Right. Well, as you know, the story came out, they'd had enough. They thought more trouble than worth.
Correct.
They thought he was at least divisive in the locker room. He was doing what you think Rondo is going to do, but I think in a good way. Right. He was challenging Paul George, and he was challenging maybe even Kawhi in the locker room. You're better than that, whatever. It probably got pretty messy because I don't think they have the kind of respect for Montrez that they will have for Rondo as the new leader of their team.
Right. And with 2 rings.
That is correct. So all of a sudden, the Lakers went in a different direction from a Dwight who I think is far more valuable than they deemed him at that moment.
I agree.
because I think this year has proven just how crucial he was to you last year.
I don't think the Trez was about Dwight. I think Marc Gasol. They thought what Marc Gasol was going to give them, Skip, his ability to shoot the three, his ability to space the floor, his ability to initiate offense at the high post and at the three-point line, something Dwight was unable to do. They said, so we might give up a little bit, but Skip, you can't give up both guys. You got to keep one. Even if you kept JaVale McGee as the backup, and you say Marc Gasol's going to be our starter, JaVale, you're no longer going to be our starter. You can't give them both up.
Yep. Okay.
That was the advantage that you had, Skip. They could go big. Remember, they one game they had them all, but normally they would have Dwight, AD, LeBron. Skip, that's a big front line.
It was huge. Dwight Howard was on his best behavior all of last year, and it shocked me because I did not see it coming.
Right.
Dwight Howard brought your team some edge, some veteran savvy. He knows all the moves.
He did a number on Yoke.
Did he?
JaVale was just too light, but Dwight has the physicality to match. When you're trying to bump, Dwight's not going nowhere.
Nope, and he will bump back.
Yes.
And he knows all the gray areas that he can play in that will get under your skin.
Right.
He is a master of that, and he's still playing at a very high level. And I feel like his offensive skills, as he's gotten older, have actually improved to a reasonable level.
Right.
So you missed him and JaVale's length, just JaVale's length.
Right.
And by the way, everywhere JaVale's gone, good things have happened. So all of a sudden you go to ground-bound Marc Gasol, and it's not enough.
No.
He's just not tall enough or doesn't play high enough.
Right. He doesn't play to his height.
No, he doesn't play
He's
his height.
He's 7 foot tall, but he doesn't play 7 foot.
Okay, so what was going on under the surface last night? I believe in Dwight's heart of hearts, it's still purple and gold. And I believe that Dwight wanted to stay and wanted to be a part of a run it back. And so at the last second, the rug gets jerked out from underneath, the red carpet gets jerked out from underneath him. And all of a sudden, it's not that he's unhappy in Philly because he's playing happy.
Right.
He's in a real good spot. Because to your point, there's always something wrong with Joel Embiid, and Dwight's getting a lot of run, man. And they're playing at a high level, and they won without him last night, but they've been on a roll. They're 2 games better than anybody in the East right now.
Right.
Wow, even without Joel Embiid.
Right.
So the point is, I think they were getting into it over the conflict of, I was better than you for this team.
Right.
And I belong here and you don't. You still belong with the Clippers. And that's what was initiating the friction between the two of them. And it finally went over the edge into Dwight walked into him, and Doc went off on both of them, but especially on Dwight after the game, because it's a clown move because they didn't have Joel Embiid.
Right. Skip, that's what you got to think about, and that's what LeBron, I'm sure there have been a lot of times, Skip, that LeBron has gotten frustrated when someone has grabbed and tugged him, but he realized, if I get thrown out and you get thrown out, that's not equal value, Skip. You getting thrown out with no Joel Embiid, that's not equal value, Dwight. You're the only big. So now they're left with 6'10", Ben Simmons. Now, like I said, luckily, you're playing the Lakers, and they don't really have a true post. You're going to play Trez only so much. But Marc Gasol is at 7 foot, and they're passing him the ball out past the three-point line, and he's trying to find cutters. He's trying to find spot-up shooters. Really? Bro, you 7 foot, you got 6'8" Tobias Harris. And Tobias is a very good defender, but there is no 6'7", 6'8" guy that should be able to stop a skilled 7-footer in the NBA. I don't care how good a defense he can play.
And I don't think Andre Drummond can fill the Dwight hole plus the JaVale hole. I just
so he
don't
can do it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I want to find out. You know, people say all the time, man, I don't want all that money. They ain't nothing but problem. I sure want to find out what kind of problems Jeff Bezos has. I really would like to see what Elon Musk is dealing with. Let me find out. Let us get Andre Drummond, and let's see if he can fill those shoes that JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard wore last year. I want to see. Can I see that? You don't mind if I see that, do you?
No, I don't.
I know you don't want me to.
It seems like in the end, everything's going south for your Lakers because you get Dwight thrown out of the game and you still lose.
Skip, I told you they weren't very good. This is why. Now you're seeing. Everybody is starting to see LeBron's value because they said, hold on, wait a minute. They're that bad?
Well, wait a second. The Lakers are 7-11 without Anthony Davis. 7-11?
Let me ask you a question.
Maybe he's the MVP.
Whoa. What are they without Anthony Davis and Schroeder? Now, if you take both of them away, now I'm just saying, give me Schroeder. Give me one or the other. Now, you're going to take AD away. Let me have Schroeder. What are they with Schroeder and Braun?
Remember those 9 games heading up to the All-Star break, and you bet me that LeBron was going to go 6-3, and you lost 5 more cases?
What a good person would have done, what an upstanding gentleman like yourself that you're not, you say, oh, you lost Schroeder. You know what, Shannon, I can't even in good conscience take this bet.
No, you say them's the breaks, because that's what you would have said.
I would have done you like that. I would have done you like that.
No mercy.
The Patriots may have re-signed Cam Newton, but that doesn't mean they're done making moves at the quarterback position. According to reports, New England is still considering a trade with the 49ers for Jimmy Garoppolo, a move that would reunite Bill Belichick with his former quarterback of the future. Jimmy G had another underwhelming and injury-filled season with San Francisco last year, throwing 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions while going 3-3 in 6 starts. So, Shannon, can you see this happening?
Yeah, sure, Skip, because there's not a whole lot of money invested in Cam, especially not the guaranteed money. Cam basically has $3.5 million guaranteed. A lot of the money that it could get up to $13, $14 million, Skip, is incentivized. So when I look at that, it's not like they got 35, 40 million tied up in Cam, like, oh, no, if we let Cam go, that's going to be $30 million dead money against the cap. Nah, it doesn't have that. So $3 million team, Skip, we just saw a team eat how much to get rid of Carson Wentz, how much to get rid of Jared Goff. So you know if they'll eat $30+ million, they'll eat $3.5 million.
Yep.
And as you said, as Jenny was talking about in the read, Jimmy G was the heir apparent. Coach Belichick thought so highly of this man, he was willing to get rid of Tom Brady after he had already won 5 Super Bowls. And said, you know what? I don't care if you win 5. This is the guy I believe that's going to be the future. And so he knows this offense. Josh McDaniels has worked with him before. So am I surprised? No. I think the only thing that's holding up the 49ers, Skip, there's no assurances that they can get a quarterback in this draft. Now, if they were probably in the 3rd spot, the 4th spot, they probably would have already traded him, because now I'm in position. I can get Trey Lance. I can get Justin Fields. I can get a quarterback to
Mac Jones.
Maybe Mac Jones. If I'm in that spot, Skip, if they top 5, top 6, I feel they think they can get one of these quarterbacks, they would have already done this. But I'm not going to trade Jimmy G when I'm sitting in, the 9 or the 10 spot with no assurances I can get up to get one of these quarterbacks. So am I surprised? Man, you know how Coach Belichick is. Everybody says, every day you go to work, and if you don't work, you know Coach Belichick is looking to replace you. That's always going to be his MO. That's how he keeps everybody in line, because no one job is safe. And they said, hold on. That man let Tom Brady go. 6 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs, and he let him walk out the door. What you think he'd do to me, Skip? That's how Coach Belichick is able to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. So am I surprised by this? Absolutely not.
All right. Bottom line to this discussion. In the end, I believe that Cam Newton would be better. Let's just do next year.
Yeah.
Cam Newton would be better next year for the New England Patriots than Jimmy G would be.
You believe that?
I believe it, because I can never quite be sold on Jimmy G, and I saw enough of Cam, as poor as his stats ended up being. I saw stretches from Cam last year that were pretty good. I saw a game at Seattle that was pretty great.
Buffalo.
I saw Buffalo, they were there, they had it, and he just couldn't hang on to the football in the final drive, final seconds of the game. There were 4 or 5 games when I thought, okay, that's pretty good. I'm not saying it was MVP 2015 Cam, but it was pretty good. It was better overall than I've seen Jimmy G ever be. And I know he had that one big, what was it, really 3 games, 2.5 games in place of Brady.
Okay, yeah.
And that's what sold Belichick, obviously. But when I look at Jimmy G's performance, it is wildly erratic. It is
the stock
highly
market.
inconsistent. It is. It's worse than the stock market. It is boom or bust, and there's a whole lot of bust in it.
Right.
But
in between is he can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy because he's missed 23 games in 3 years. That's just too many. And there are stretches when he looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
He has that kind of ability and, as they say, arm talent. But there are also stretches when he's worse than Cam at his worst. And I hark back to when they needed him most. They were still in position in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl where the San Francisco 49ers. And in that 4th quarter, he goes 3 of 11 with an interception for 36 total yards.
He gagged it off, Skip. I don't know what you want me to tell you. He gagged it off.
And did Patrick Mahomes ever get a break there?
Man, don't do that, Skip.
Well, he did. He got a break. But I'm going to stay off that and on this because Jimmy G had a 3rd and 10 from the Kansas City 49 with 1:40 left. And we got to see it. I think we have it. It's my.
Is this the one, Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah. Emmanuel Sanders breaks free. This is a touchdown, and he missed him by 5 yards.
Skip, he hit that play and they win the game. He's a hero forever.
Forever. This is it. This is the make or break play of Jimmy G's career.
Yes.
And, you know, he didn't underthrow it. He just way overthrew it.
That's when you're not confident, Skip. You're like, I just got to be. You can't miss him by that much, Skip. Even if you make Emmanuel go up to make a play.
Okay, maybe Patrick Mahomes then pulls it out of the fire in the final minute and 30.
Right.
But it could have won the Super Bowl.
Right.
That puts them ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
27-24. Patrick Mahomes has a minute and 34 seconds.
That is correct. So Jimmy G for his career, 51 touchdowns to 26 interceptions. Not bad.
Right.
But I can show you stretches when the QBR just goes in the toilet.
Yeah.
And his overall QBR for his career is 64, which is not great.
Skip, look, I've known Kyle Shanahan damn near his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a chip off it. The thing that would drive his dad crazy is mistakes and not being available. And the two things that have played Jimmy Garoppolo is what, Skip? Mistakes and not being available. That's why they don't. This is the only reason. I mean, I agree with you. He has arm talent. But, Skip, I don't know. I mean, one game, I might get Aaron Rodgers. The next game, I get C.J. Beathard. Mm-hmm. Skip, I can't pay $28 million for that.
Yep, I agree. So would I believe that Belichick would be more comfortable with Jimmy G going forward? Yeah, because he raised him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he want to be proven right.
He wants to be proven right.
Can you imagine, Skip, if he got to the playoffs with Jimmy G, and was fortunate enough to get to a Super Bowl? Oh, Skip, it's over. He said, I told you. That might be the first time that Coach Belichick get up there and look into the camera and says, I told you.
Yep. So he signed Cam to a second contract that is no more than backup quarterback money. So he's not obligated to him financially.
Correct.
And I'm sure he would be just as happy to have Cam as his backup quarterback next year if he could land Jimmy G. Well, the only way he's going to land him is if he gets cut by the 49ers, which is, I think it's highly possible, because I think they want to go in a different direction. And I think they will figure out the draft. They will land one of those top 5 quarterbacks.
Well, Skip, they're in the 12 spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if 12.
Okay, but Mel Kiper has Mac Jones falling to Belichick at 15. Well, you don't think Kyle would take Mac Jones? I don't know what he thinks of him, but I would think he would take him.
I like Mac Jones.
Yep.
I think he's plenty athletic enough for that system. But like I said, if they were say the top 5 or 6, because then you could really move. But if they were top 5, if they were really top 5, there's no question in my mind Jimmy G would already be gone, because they know they can get one of these quarterbacks.
Yep. So in the end, if I'm rooting against the Patriots, it's the old cliche of lesser of two evils, pick your poison.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm sold on either Jimmy G or Cam as a Super Bowl quarterback for the Patriots. So you can just 6 of one, half dozen of the other, as far as I'm concerned. But in the end, if you force me to pick one, I still say Cam will perform better than Jimmy G would next year.
I say Coach Belichick going to have whomever the quarterback is in the playoffs. That's what I say.
Well, you said that with your Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to get it back.
I have 2 swimming pools.
See, that's your problem, Skip. You could have just took your winnings and went home. But what do? You win a little bit of the house's money and you stay right there. And guess what? I'm the house. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get all the dew that I lost to you. I'm going to get it back.
No, I've built the house, thanks to you.
You have a lot of dew to make up for.
I get it back. I'm going to get it back.
Trying. Wishful thinking.
No mercy.
Well, get this. Rajon Rondo is returning to the city he just won a title in, but not to the team he won a title with. Yesterday, the LA Clippers acquired Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Lou Williams and 2 future second-round picks. Rondo will provide some pass-first leadership out of the guard spot, something Clippers coach Ty Lue is very excited about, telling reporters he's fiery. That's what we need. And Skip, I know you think it's a good move. I saw you tweet this last night. Congrats, Clippers. You just won your first NBA championship. We're now joined by Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, does Rondo make the Clippers the favorites in the West now?
Yeah, I'm not. I like the deal. I'm not as high on it as Skip. I'm nowhere near as high on it as Skip. They improved greatly. There's no doubt about it. But both teams fully healthy, even though I think the Lakers missed an opportunity to get Kyle Lowry, I still like the Lakers. Both teams fully healthy. But the Clippers got better and they got closer to the Lakers and they improved their chances of upsetting them in the playoffs. Rondo, you talked about it, Jen, with Ty Lue's words. That's the first thing. He brings leadership. He brings accountability. And the Clippers know he's a guy that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George respect. So when he says something, they know this guy's won championships. This guy's played with some of the greatest players ever. He has our respect, and that's important. Remember, that's a team that, as far as players, is really devoid of great leadership, and they filled that void with Rajon Rondo. Now, on the court, they are one of the worst clutch teams, or at least one of the worst good clutch teams that's good in the clutch. All right, they're 1-3 in close games with 3 points or more. That's the worst of any playoff team in the Western Conference. And it's because they really don't have a playmaker at the end of the games. They put the ball in Kawhi's hands, put it in Paul George's hands, and yeah, they can dribble, they can make plays here and there, but that's not what they do. They don't have that vision. They just don't have that knack for making plays for others. Rondo brings that. So he'll get the ball to the right players, including Kawhi and PG, in the right spots for them to be their best at the end of games. So that's huge. Remember Kawhi Leonard said last year out of the bubble, we need to improve our basketball IQ. That's what Rondo brings. Lou Williams, look, he's had a great career. He had a great career with the Clippers, but this is his worst year in 7 seasons. And you couldn't play him at the end of the games because defensively, teams were just hunting. We saw the Lakers do that time and time again. Wherever he's at, we're getting him in pick and roll and going at Lou Williams. And then offensively, in the playoffs, he doesn't give you what he gave you in the regular season, which is the opposite of Rondo, who every single year outside of that one loss season in Dallas has given you improved play in the playoffs. So the Clippers got much better. This is a good move, but still, I wouldn't put them ahead of the Lakers.
I agree. I don't think it makes them the favorite in the West. I like it. I like the Rondo addition. I think Kawhi is a leader. He's just not a vocal leader. Skip it. And, at some point in time, Chris, you've been around this game long enough to know sometimes your play is not good enough to be leadership. You got to pull some guys aside. You need to call a team meeting and say, guys, just isn't getting it done. Rondo will do that. Rondo's like, hey, Kawhi, bro, what was that? We need more. PG, come on, bro. You better than this. And everybody else was on eggshells because the last guy that possibly told Kawhi and PG that he played upstairs for the Lakers, that's what happened. And so now Lou Will, the last of that tough niche dark group, Skip, you remember that group that took 2 games from Golden State? They're no longer there now. Trez, Lou Will, that heartbeat of the team, they're gone now. So this is a remade team in Kawhi and Paul George's image. They had to do this. Kawhi is a free agent after this season. Paul George, they invested Oklahoma City got like 100,000 picks over the next 7 years, Skip. Hopefully they turn it out to something.
Right.
But they had to make this move, Chris, because Kawhi's a free agent. You don't win the championship this year. Why are you so sure Kawhi gonna come back and do what? It's not getting easier. Teams are loading up. You're starting to see guys, you see what Brooklyn did. Who's to say you don't get 2 other guys to say, you know what? You see what they did in Brooklyn? You see what they got going on with the Lakers? Hey, let's you and I go pair up. And then what? So they had to make this move. I agree. I don't think Rondo puts them over the top in front of a fully healthy Lakers team. But if we get Andre Drummond, I'm gonna tell Adam Silver to start engraving the trophy. Lakers 2021.
Andre Drummond?
Yeah, Chris.
Andre Drummond?
Put his name on the trophy.
Andre Drummond, who's 0-8 in playoff games, who's 0-1 in NCAA games, who shoots 36% from the free throw line in playoff games? Stop it!
I'm so confident. I'm about to go down to Staples and start putting balloons and confetti up because I know it's going to drop in July.
You would.
That's how confident I am, Chris Broussard.
Well, let me tell you how confident I am after what happened yesterday.
Okay.
It is over for this man across from me. It's over for my friend Chris Broussard. The West is over. The finals are over. It's going to be Clippers versus Nets, and Clippers will prevail because the Clippers finally got the final piece to their championship puzzle. It is Rondo, playoff Rondo. They finally have a head to the snake. I sat here through the offseason pounding this desk saying, Clippers, you have to go get Rondo. But the great Jerry West, who now oversees the Clippers, was playing chess to my checkers. He had it all figured out, I believe. This is just my educated guess. Okay, we can't pay Rondo right here, right now, because the Lakers couldn't pay him either. So what did they do? What did the Clippers do? Jerry West said, just let him have his money. Let him get his 2 years guaranteed $15 million. Let him go to Atlanta. He'll do next to nothing in Atlanta, which is what he did. He's basically just taken a half a year off in Atlanta to collect checks and save himself for the Clippers stretch run. That's what he did. You better believe it. And Jerry West, I believe, told Rondo at the end of free agency, we will come and get you at the trade deadline. No, I don't care what it is. It happened because it happened right before your very eyes. And they didn't have to give up a key piece like Ibaka or Marcus Morris Sr. They gave up what's left of Lou Williams. And again, Lou burned his bridge to the Clippers during the bubble when he went to Magic City from Magic Kingdom. That was the end of look, and he's been a great leader for them, and they all love him, and he was beloved in the locker room. We get that, but he always had an old man's game, and now he's just looking like an old man to me because he's ground bound and he's not an electric athlete. He's just not that guy. So it's not like you're giving up a lot for Rondo, who's going to mean everything to you. He will turn back into playoff Rondo, and I don't care what either of you say. The essential, crucial ingredient for the Lakers to win that championship in that bubble was Rondo. He had 19 points in the closeout game. He had 16 points in game 2. Every time I looked around, he was either scoring a big bucket, making a big three, or making a pass or a play that just wins a basketball game. You know what he is, and he is now a Clipper. And he will set them up, to your point, Chris, no good in the clutch. They just don't have a head to the snake to get them the shot to win the game. They're both capable, Paul George and Kawhi, of making big shots, but not if they have to initiate the shot. Is it your turn or my turn? Are you going to dribble into a shot or am I? Against Milwaukee, at Milwaukee the other day, I'm like, just somebody take the shot. Well, they look at each other like, am I going to do this or you? They need Rondo to set up the offense and figure out it's going to be your turn and I'm going to get you the ball at your spot to make that shot. And all of a sudden, they will go from non-clutch to very clutch. They lead the league in three-point shooting. They lead the league in free throw shooting. The last 6 games, they have led the league in defensive efficiency because they are starting to lock in and lock down, and now they have a leader and a true point guard that Pat Bev never obviously was. It's over.
Go have all that. And guess what? Going home.
Yeah, going home. Yeah, you knew who would have gone home last year. If Rondo had been a Clipper last year, Denver would have gone home in 5 games. Sorry. Go.
I think that's a great point. You made some good points, Skip. I'll give you that. I agree. That's how people looking at this and saying, well, what's impact's he going to have? Picture him on the Clippers last year. They beat Denver. There's no way they're losing that series. And then take him off the Lakers, and maybe it's a different scenario. So he's gotten them closer to the Lakers. Your thing about Jerry West, I don't know that I'm buying the conspiracy theory, but I will throw this at you. Jerry West was where before he was with the Clippers? Golden State as a consultant. Guess who was in their front office when Jerry West was there? Travis Schlenk, the GM for the Atlanta Hawks. So I don't know. I'm just saying these are some interesting coincidences that were there. The Clippers helped themselves, but again, if the Lakers are healthy, and maybe that's becoming a bigger if than we think, I still got them. Because Schroeder can play, and he's better than Rondo at this point. And Anthony Davis, he's got to come back better than he was before he got injured. That's for darn sure. Yeah, we got to see the AD from last year. You know LeBron's going to be LeBron if he's healthy. And Skip, don't poo-poo Andre Drummond, because he can rebound. He just because he's big, he gives you a little more rim protection. He would be a huge get for the Lakers if they can. I think they're going to pull it off.
And guess what, Chris? Now you and Shannon have heaped impossible pressure on Andre Drummond, who has never known the spotlight before. And all of a sudden, he's going to be the savior for the Lake Show, Laker Nation. We got Andre. Really?
Skip, you know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm practicing for the parade.
Are you?
Hey, Chris, look, Chris. I'm practicing for, can you see that? I'm practicing for the parade.
You know what I'm practicing for? I'm practicing to wear this jersey the night that the Clippers.
Let me hold that. Let me hold that jersey right quick.
No.
Let me borrow it right quick.
And by the way, this is, we all know who's number one, right?
Hey, you gonna be so disappointed. You do this. You remember last year? You remember how you looked last year?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you weren't here when the Lakers when they went down to 7 games to the Nuggets. He was all disappointed. I had to pick him up, had to bring him stuff to his room.
Remember me with the Tom Brady jersey? This is going to be the equivalent
right
here, right now.
Yeah, you got one.
Right here, right now.
Interesting.
No mercy.
Well, right now, LeBron is reportedly expected to miss another 3 to 5 weeks with his ankle injury. And if it takes the entire 5 weeks, that timetable would mean the King wouldn't return until the beginning of May with 9 games left in the regular season before the playoffs start toward the end of that month. The Lakers are currently in 4th place in the Western Conference with the Nuggets and Trailblazers just nipping at their heels right there. So Chris Broussard still with us. Chris, how much longer do you believe LeBron will be out at this point?
Well, this isn't a report, but I have a feeling that this may have been put out there just to kind of kill the noise that he could be back in 2 weeks or so. You know, I know, Skip, you thought he'd be back in a week. I think that they just wanted to kind of calm everybody down and let them know, look, this is going to be a little while before LeBron gets back. We know he's a quick healer, so I'm going to say closer to 3 weeks than to 5 weeks, but I'll go around 4. I think the one thing that we all have to realize is, look, we know for LeBron, it's all about winning a championship. Nothing else matters, especially now that he's gone pretty much out of the MVP race because he's going to miss so many games. It is about winning the championship, and he knows. He came back 2 years ago too early. Remember, he came back in 6 weeks. His physical therapist said it should have been 6 months. I mean, she clearly went overboard, but still, he came back a little early and was unable to even get the Lakers in the playoffs, let alone compete for a championship. So he understands that. I'm going to say this. He would, if he can't come back healthy, he'd be better off waiting until next year. Because he's got to be as close to 100% along with AD for the Lakers to win the West, let alone the NBA Finals. So I think he needs to rest and will rest until he is as close to 100% as it gets. So I'm thinking about 4 weeks. If he comes back in 4 weeks, that may be about 13, 14 games left. As Jen said, 5 weeks, he's got 9 games left. That's enough. That's enough. In the bubble, they had 8 to get him ready and his team ready for the playoffs, and we saw what they did in the postseason. So if he can get 9 to 14 games to develop the chemistry, get his wind back, and all of that, then I think the Lakers could be good. So I think that's it's be about 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, I was always on the assumption it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. And if it's 3 more weeks, that puts it at 4 weeks. Right now, Chris, they're playing 4 games every 7 days. So if you're looking at 4 games every 7 days in a month, you're looking at, 16 games. You go 5 weeks, that's 20 games. How many games left? 30, about 30 games, 28, 29 games now. So you're about right. And so I think LeBron James cannot be 80% when he comes back. He has to be as close to 100% because, as Chris mentioned, the only thing that matters is a championship. And they cannot, unless he's performing at his apex, even being thought of as a serious contender without him being top-notch. AD also will need to come back and be better than he was before he got injured. And the other role players will need to play better than what they're showing right now. You can't lose. You can't lose with Joel Embiid and Dwight Howard getting 5 and you lose by 8 points. I'm not worried about a thing. But let me tell you what.
You just voiced a lot of worry and then said you're not worried?
No, I'm not worried because, Chris, let me tell you what's going to happen. LeBron James is going to be out about another, let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm going to go 4 weeks. Somebody's going to sit up here and say, Solomon Hill did the Lakers and LeBron James a favor because he needed rest. He was playing too many minutes, a la the break that we got last year during the pandemic. That's what he's going to say. But I'm not going to let him do it. We don't need a break. We don't get tired. Didn't we tell you we didn't get tired?
That's what he said.
Okay, then. So why we need a break?
But I kept telling you he doesn't get hurt either, and it looks like he got hurt.
Nah, you kept talking about it. Oh, let me knock on wood. He's the most durable. Oh, let me knock on wood. But don't worry about it.
Let me knock on wood again.
there you go.
Speak.
But don't worry about it. Your day coming.
So back to my man, Chris Broussard here, who has covered LeBron James since I think he was in grade school. So, Chris, here's my issue with what I witnessed, was it last Saturday?
Last Saturday.
In that afternoon game at Staples against the Atlanta Hawks, who now don't have Rondo. Way to go, Clippers. Now, back to what happened, Solomon Hill. Maybe he could be your unsung MVP because, Chris, what did we see happen? We saw Solomon Hill fall sort of gently into LeBron's planted right foot. We saw a high ankle sprain. We saw LeBron writhe on the floor for a little while and scream in ways Kuzma said I've never heard him scream before. But then he hopped up as I thought he would because he is Iron Man. He is the most durable superstar I have ever closely observed. And he began to walk on it. And then he played on it. He played an offensive possession. And right on cue, he hits a three from the corner. And after the three rips, he goes jogging back up the floor. And again, it's straight line jogging as opposed to planting and cutting side to side on the high ankle sprain. But the mere fact that he was jogging back up the floor told me, well, he's not that hurt. X-rays were negative. So nothing broke, obviously.
Right.
I don't know what the MRI told them. Was there ligament damage? Was it strained or something sprained or whatever in the ankle? It's not LeBron-esque to have an injury like that when he walked off under his own power. So I thought, in a week or so, he'll be back. And Shannon is saying, no, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. And now we have a report, and we could, as Chris suggests, discount it because it may be on the part of the Lakers trying to just ease everybody back and just say, hold on here. But it's possible he's not going to come back until May. Yeah. That means only 9 games would be left. Yeah. Well, I just don't know if you can get it back together, especially if you do get Drummond. And I don't know when AD's going to come back either, because that seems iffier than LeBron right now, because that involves an Achilles tendon, right?
Yeah, once
you just don't need any time.
Yeah, my guy's a chef. He can still make the dish even after he retired for a little while.
So back to you, Chris. Are you at all surprised that you watched LeBron jog and walk off under his own power? And now we're talking about maybe out until May?
I was surprised. Like you said, he jogged. LeBron, when he goes down, right? It's like Jim Brown used to do.
Yeah, I agree.
mean, he's so slow getting up, you think it's a season-ending injury, and then he's fine, And I kind of thought that was the case. And when I saw him walk to the locker room, we've all had sprained ankles. You don't typically walk like that, on a sprained ankle. I didn't think it was as bad, but I think this is a situation where the Lakers understand. Now, I'm not even going to say he could play on this if he had to, because I don't think that's the case. I think you got to take this injury seriously. But I also think they realize better to get him fully healthy than to bring him back. And, he can play. Bring him back when he's not fully healthy but could play and risk another injury, risk your body, other parts of your body overcompensating. So now you could get injured elsewhere and not be 100% going into the playoffs. So I think the Lakers are looking at this and LeBron as if it means resting and fall into the 8th seed, then so be it. Because look, guys, wherever they finish, they are going to have a rough time. If they were the 2nd seed, who would they open up right now with? Dallas? And then your 2nd round game would be the Clippers? I mean, it's going to be tough no matter what, whether you finish 2nd or whether you finish 8th. So I think the Lakers realize that, and they're saying the number one priority, get healthy, period.
Okay, so to my point, this was possibly a forced vacation.
They wouldn't have said, see, there you go.
Well,
See?
I'm not, again, it's just a fact. It looks like that's what's happening, that they went to him and said, hey, this is year 18.
No, they didn't go to him.
You're
Solomon
playing
Hill
too
went to
many-
his ankle and said,
No,
hey.
He was playing top? He was like 9th in minutes played.
But if you look
right?
at the last 5 or 6 games, Skip, he was averaging less than 34 minutes a game. Had a game with 30 minutes, 31, 32.
Okay, but total minutes, top 10 in the league.
Yeah, but Skip, because he hadn't missed a game. All
That's
the other guys.
point.
Yes.
Okay, maybe Pelinka went to him. Maybe.
But hold on, but Chris, you remember we had this thing when LeBron was sitting out. Skip Bayless said Michael Jordan played all 82 9 times. He played 80 another time. He talked about how Michael Jordan never missed a game. LeBron James tries to play, now it's ill intent. He's only concerned about Kareem. You can't have it both ways.
Michael didn't play 18 years.
That's
At
his
some
point.
point, you have to admit you are human.
Let me ask you a question. Did Michael Jordan take care of himself in the offseason?
No.
Like LeBron?
No.
Okay, what quarterback has taken care of themselves in the offseason, during the season, like Tom Brady? There's a reason. Yes, they changed the rule, but he's taking care of himself to the umpteenth degree. LeBron ain't out there just smoking cigars.
Well, I think he is, actually.
What he do at night, don't worry about what we do. See?
Little wine, little
Keep our business
cigar.
out the street.
I don't know. Yeah.
But don't
thank
worry
you for bringing that up.
don't worry about who we play.
It's not an excuse it's just a fact of life. I think they got to him and said, you got to stop. Just take this. You now have a legitimate excuse. You have a high ankle sprain.
You actually think-
Just go ahead and lay out for a while.
Really?
Yep. And if we're the 8th
So,
seed to
Skip,
Chris's
do you
point,
not
you'll
think
be
it's
okay.
a legit? Do you not think it's a legit injury? I do think it's a legitimate injury.
Okay, I believe if LeBron had to come back tomorrow and play basketball, I believe he could do it.
I don't believe he could.
Yep.
I don't believe he could. Now, I just watched Michael Thomas on a high ankle sprain play an entire game and then 2 days later have surgery. Now, how the hell he play an entire game, Chris, and then have surgery 2 days later?
What game did he play?
He played the divisional round of the playoffs.
Thank you. It was a playoff game. They needed him. It was do or die.
How did he look?
Well,
How did he look?
Okay, well, he tried. He's not LeBron James. Are you saying Michael Thomas is LeBron James?
Michael, at the wide receiver position, Skip, the guy just set the record last year, 150 plus catches.
Yep.
And now he had no catches. When was the last time Michael Thomas went without a catch?
He was up against a defense
Oh, so now
that
he
had
up against a
suddenly taken off.
Stop it, Skip.
Well, you know it,
You
I
know
know
good.
it.
The man got a high ankle sprain. And now you talk about the man faking. They told him to take time off. You wanted him to play.
When Michael Thomas sprained his ankle, did he jog up and down the field and then walk off under his own power? He did not.
Yes, he did. He tried to play again, and guess what? They shut him down for 8 weeks. He came back. Guess what? Had to have surgery. He was out 8 weeks. Christian McCaffrey missed how many weeks with a high ankle sprain?
Does LeBron need surgery? If you need surgery, you got me.
Christian McCaffrey.
If he needs surgery, he shouldn't come back. To Chris's point, he should just take off the rest of the year.
So everybody that has a high ankle sprain gets surgery.
They're all different.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
So what? So hold on. So because LeBron James has played 18 years,
I have video evidence. I saw him play a possession and then jog up.
Skip one possession.
Well, I saw him move around. To Chris's point, you don't see people walk off
Yes,
under
you
their own
Skip.
power.
Skip,
I don't.
think about what you just said. You saw a man play one possession, 1 minute into the second quarter.
Yeah, and then I saw him jog up to play defense. He jogged
He
up
was
the
jogging.
floor.
He was jogging like he normally jogs.
They look pretty good to me.
No, ain't no pretty good.
Was he putting his weight on that foot?
Skip,
Yes,
you
he
saw,
was.
Skip, you saw the man
He's
limping.
putting his weight
Skip,
on
you
it.
saw the man limping.
I
Come
did
on,
not
don't do
see
it.
a limp.
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
sorry, I did not.
Oh my goodness.
He's taking his vacation. It's okay.
You see? Hey, Chris, you see where he going with this? You see where he
If
going? He
that's
already
true,
built that
Skip.
excuse in.
If that's true, that should scare you. If that's true, that should scare you and your Clippers.
Yeah, you know
That
what?
just means he's getting ready.
I'm just.
It just
pumping my
means
gums
it could
on this.
be like
I am
last
wasting
year all
my
over
breath
again.
on this because none of this matters because the Clippers got Rondo. It's over. You can get him back. You can have him tomorrow. You can have him in May, and it won't matter.
No mercy.
For the first time in 50 years, the NASCAR Cup Series is going dirt racing this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon, Coop Boyer, and the rest of our crew will have you covered all weekend long, starting on FS1 today and tomorrow, before moving over to Fox for pre-race coverage on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be really cool. They gave us some dirt yesterday. Are you guys excited over there?
I'm excited, Skip and Jenny, because this is the first Dirt Cup race in 51 years. The last time it happened in North Carolina, Richard Petty won in 1970. But the guy that you need to watch out for is Kyle Larson because he just had the greatest dirt cup season in racing history. 82 races, 60 podium finishes, 42 wins. So I'm taking him. I give you the feel.
Oh, really?
I'll take it.
All right. I love it. Guys, thank you so much. We will all be watching and enjoying that one. And remember, don't miss your chance to win $25,000 of Clint Boyer's money during the race this Sunday. So download the Fox Bet Super 6 app, pick 6 outcomes in Clint's Stage 2 contest for your shot to win. To win big. Why not give it a shot? You might win. How about that? Okay, we're going to get back to the Cowboys right now. Mike McCarthy addressed reporters yesterday for the first time since Dak Prescott's big contract kicked off a less than impressive free agency period for the Cowboys. But still, McCarthy seemed confident that getting his starting QB back for a second year in his system will make for a big improvement. And also added, quote, Dak is the keystone of this team. His presence and natural leadership ability is something that will continue to grow. You'll see that in the locker room. So, Shannon, how good will Dak have to be in his comeback year to make this a playoff team?
Skip, was that because he just watched Dak run into the end zone? I could have sworn that was 27 for Atlanta.
You wore 27.
Oh, that was him that let it back. Okay. Let's just hope you don't let the opposing quarterback for the other teams run into the end zone as easy as let Dak. Skip, in order for this to be a playoff team, if the defense looks like they looked last year, Dak's going to need to be top 5. Scoring has never been the problem, Skip. We know they can score. You look at the weapons, the 3 receivers they have, from CeeDee Lamb to Amari to Gallup, the tight ends are really, Schultz played really well. They get Blake Jarwin back. Yeah, Blake Jarwin. They get him back coming off ACL. Zeke, we don't really know. They do get the offensive line back, but they are a little older. So they can put up points. The question is, Skip, can they stop someone? Are you going to let teams run for 300? Or are you going to let them average running for $159 and finish 31 out of 32 teams in rushing long?
Yep.
If you do that, Dak's going to have to play Dak's going to have to play out of his mind. Because normally, Skip, when teams run the ball like that, guess what? Your offense is on the field. And you don't take the ball away and turn it into points. So now you're going to be tired having to guard stop all those possessions. So in order for them to win big like you think they can, Dak's going to have to play out of his mind. And you will say, what, pressure? If you don't want to say pressure, because I believe pressure is what you feel when you don't know what the hell you're doing, the expectations are through the roof.
Yep.
Dak got paid $40 million a year, which is the second highest paid. What comes along with pay? The more you make, the more is expected of you. I don't care what the occupation is. Yep. Forget professional sports. The more you move up the ladder, the more they pay you, the more they expect of you. So Dak Prescott he had the second biggest expectations because he had the second biggest contract. So the expectations, if not pressure, you don't want to call it pressure, the expectations are there. And he's going to have to be top 10 every single week because I don't trust this defense.
In conclusion, to amplify what you just said, my quarterback for my Dallas Cowboys next year will have to be regular season Aaron Rodgers for my team to make the playoffs. That's what he's going to have to be.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
That is an awful lot.
Because regular season Aaron is all-time great. He ran away with the MVP last year, and I believe Dak is at least going to have to be an MVP finalist. Yeah, he's going to have to be in the top couple going down.
He's going to have to be in the discussion every week.
Every week, all the way home, for my team to have a chance to win in what is a much upgraded NFC East. Small little move I saw yesterday. I almost call him that name. The Washington football team added Adam Humphries, who I've always liked as a slot receiver. He's really good. Curtis Samuel, you know the other guy, McLaurin. Yeah. That's just, and again, they got Fitzmagic now, who you just know he's going to have some big games. Yeah. And you just know they had the number 2 defense last year in points allowed. Right. And you know the New York Football Giants had a top 10 defense last year, and they added Kenny Golladay, and I assume they're going to have Saquon back maybe at full speed. They'll just be better, right? And Philadelphia will figure out a way to get better. They're going to be sort of like Dallas.
And even if they're not better, Skip, they just hate you guys, so they always play you guys. They play you tough.
So the harder I look at what we didn't do on defense, so many no-names, so many players who played for Dan Quinn's defense in Atlanta that was the worst pass defense in football last year statistically and the 5th worst all-time in the NFL. And you mentioned that game at Dallas, the comeback game, the watermelon kick game.
Was Neal and Kazee on the team?
Yes, they were on the field as Dak Prescott threw for like 5,000 yards in the 4th quarter, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so when I look at all these names that we added on defense, Carlos Watkins, Brent Urban, Terrell Basham, we brought back Jordan Lewis, then Keanu Neal and the kid yesterday, Kazee. I'm thinking they had a better defense going into last year than this defense is right now. Because remember, they had Gerald McCoy. These are the free agents last year. Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe. I thought, again, he'd made Pro Bowls before. He wasn't what we thought he was going to be. Clinton Dix had made Pro Bowls before. And I thought he would step in at safety. They acquired Everson Griffin and Darryl Worley. And remember, Aldon Smith, I kept saying he's going to be a revelation, and he was for about 5 games, and he is gone.
Jerry said, last year I went to the free agent market, Skip, and I got everybody that you had heard of. This year I'm going to the free agent market, I'm going to get people you've never heard of.
Never heard of, all the way down the line. So it's Dak or bust. And I hate it that we're heaping more pressure and expectation.
No, you shouldn't hate it, Skip. The man got 160.
I know, but I wanted it to relieve the pressure that he no longer has to do battle with his owner.
No, Skip. As you get promotions, the expectations.
Okay, and remember, Dak Prescott is coming off a horrendous, career-threatening ankle injury. It was scary bad. It was way beyond what we just talked about LeBron suffering. And the point was, Jerry yesterday was comparing him to Michael Irvin's rehab, and I watched closely that rehab back because he hurt himself in 89, 90, and it was an ACL reconstruction. And Michael was like playing for his life because he hadn't proven anything as an NFL player. Well, Dak was making $31.4 million last year.
Yeah, back then the contract. Dak got what, $75 million. He has something that Mike didn't have. They didn't make no money back then, Skip. Even if Mike was the first rounder, because he was the 8th pick in the draft, my brother was 7th. It wasn't making no money. No. It was good money back then, but it was relative now.
Okay, but Michael had proven nothing.
Nothing, correct.
And so he was facing his football mortality, like, I don't know if I can do this again. So you want to talk about driven, and I'm not saying that Dak wasn't driven through his rehab, but it's just not the same. You can't compare the mentality of that approach. So do I want Dak to come back 100%? Yeah, I don't know if he'll be 100%. Now they're talking about be more careful. Well, running was a huge part of his game, and I thought he was really smart at it.
Skip, that was a freak accident.
They make it seem freak as he
they make it seem like Dak was running. He was being careless with the ball.
No,
he understands. Like, look, sometimes I don't need to worry about trying to stiff arm, trying to get an extra 3 or 4 yards. Let's slide down. Let's live to see another day. But if I'm Dak, I'm not changing the way I play.
Just remember, it's Logan Ryan challenging him, weighing 200 pounds versus 240, in the open field. And it was a front horse collar where he grabs a hold and just pulls on him. Well, that's just freak.
That's a freak injury.
All right. So I need him to come back full on Dak.
Yes.
And I need him to live up.
Not worry about, man, should I run? Man, I got hurt last time I ran. Skip, just play football, Dak. Just play football. Just be smart. You know how to get down. Dak does a great job of sliding. He hadn't taken no RG3 hit, Skip, that got him hurt. If that was RG3, I was like, okay, now he has to change. Or he taking shots like Mike Vick did early in his career, Skip.
Agreed.
But he doesn't take those. It was just a freak one-off, I believe.
Be Dak.
Yeah, I don't doubt that he's going to come back as Dak. It's like the moment you start thinking about those injuries, right? That's when you put yourself most at risk in so many ways. But I'm looking forward to his return.
No mercy.
The Cardinals agreed to a 1-year contract with cornerback Malcolm Butler yesterday on a deal worth up to $6 million. This is just the latest in a series of seemingly win-now moves Arizona has made this offseason, including signing 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt, and 7-time Pro Bowl receiver, A.J. Green. So, Shannon, are the Cardinals now an NFC contender in your eyes?
No, they signed guys all past their prime, Skip. A.J. Green missed, he hadn't been to the Pro Bowl since 2017. Missed all of 2019, missed 7 games in 2018. Skip, he had 47 catches in 16 games last year with 2 touchdowns, despite having over 100 targets. That sound like a guy that's going to move the needle for you? J.J. Watt's missed over half the game in his last 5 years. He's not the same guy that he once was. Malcolm Butler is not an upgrade over Pat P in my estimation. So, yeah, they got guys with names. If they had got these guys in their prime, yeah, hell yeah, Skip, they're in contention. But no, I don't see it. I don't see what everybody is raving about. So no, Skip, they're not. This move didn't make them better than Tampa, didn't make them better than Green Bay, didn't make them better than the Rams. There are several teams that didn't make. Skip, they're not even favored. They're third in their own division. No. I know you love Kyler, but no.
I love Kyler, and now I love this team even more than I did a year ago when I told you they were going to make the playoffs and they were sitting pretty at 6-3.
And I got a case to do.
You didn't have any cases.
Well, I want some now. Bet they don't make the playoffs.
All right, I'll bet you they make the playoffs. Just one case?
Okay.
All right, good. Thank you very much. Every time you propose, you lose, right?
I love it.
When you start the bet, you lose the bet.
Well, I mean, you forced me into it because you be talking about this thing going to be in contention and they not.
Well, look, Kyler hit the wall because he got hurt. He got banged up. Remember in that Monday night game? He got banged up, and he was never the same down the stretch after he threw that Hail Murray play pass that obviously beat Buffalo. So look at what they've added. They've added star power.
Yeah, but don't you want him to be good?
You didn't mention Rodney Hudson.
No, I like him. I like him for the offensive line. I like him. I like him.
So they snapped him up.
Yes.
And then you keep discounting A.J. Green. He's not too old at 31.
No.
And he's going to have one of those Brady-esque bounce-back years where he says, watch this Cincinnati. He'll do just the way Brady did in Tampa Bay. He'll say, I have so much left. He was quitting on that team last year because it was horrible, and they were slowly phasing him out, and he knew it.
What they were phasing him out, Skippy? I mean, he was dropping the ball. He couldn't get open anymore.
I mean, watch what he does. And I'm not the biggest J.J. Watt fan, but to have him on your side, in your locker room, in your defensive huddle, will count. It will have some sort of intangible effect on that team, as will Malcolm Butler. He's got lots left in his tank. He had a career high.
He upgraded over Pat P?
Yeah, over Pat P right now.
Yeah.
Right now. The Pat P that I watched last year, definitely an upgrade. I kept telling you, I want him on my Cowboys. He would. I'd love.
Why you want Pat P on your Cowboys if he's not good enough?
I want Malcolm Butler on my Cowboys.
Okay.
And again, I love Pat P, but he just looked like he was starting to hit the age wall.
Okay.
And Minnesota's taking the shot, and I don't blame them because you love having his presence in your cornerback room, and in your huddle. But again, Malcolm Butler can still play at a high level, and I have no idea what Tennessee was thinking to cut 3/4 of its secondary, but Arizona snapped him up the way they did all these players. And just remember, Chandler Jones didn't play last year.
Right.
He's coming back from a biceps tear.
Right.
And it's hard to come back from, but I believe he'll be 100%. He's 31. So his tank is not empty.
So let me get this right. Was J.J. Watt on the worst defense? Statistically, they had one of the top 5 worst defense in NFL history. Was J.J. Watt on that defense?
Yep, but I told you that. You were the guy who told me J.J. Watt was the best player in football, not just on defense.
Yeah. That was so long ago.
Okay, that was 4 years ago.
That was 2016, yes. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 years ago.
He fell off the map.
Injuries. You see a back surgery, broken tibia, the plantar or something. He broke something in his leg.
Yep.
Come on, Skip.
Okay, I just like having, it's like, let's go get Shannon Sharp, the 2-time Super Bowl winner, and bring him to Baltimore later in his career.
Skip, I can still play.
Okay, you could still play, but you weren't quite what you were early in your career.
Skip.
And you were one play shay. You were just big play shay.
But Skip, I broke my collarbone. I missed 8 games. At the time that I broke my collarbone, I was leading the NFL in catches.
Okay, you were still a made man. You had stature.
Okay, what they made? What you guys made? AJ,
just watch. I'm good. I just won one more case.
No, you didn't win.
I should have inflicted 5 on you, but I won't.
That's
Not right now.
Go get it all back.
No mercy.
Some breaking news to end the show for us. Josina Anderson is reporting that Leonard Fournette just told her via FaceTime that he is re-signing with the Bucs. And reports are now coming out that it is a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million with incentives. So really, plenty of that team sticking together. Shannon, are you surprised?
No. because there's nobody. The market is not out there for the running back, Skip. He got basically the same deal that he got to come over there last year. So I don't know why. Why would I go somewhere else for the same money when I get an opportunity to play with Tom Brady, play in Florida, play on grass with a chance to win? So it always made sense to me that he would go back to Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa Bay seems to be the only NFL team with no salary cap, right? They just keep inventing new ways to create space.
Well, Skip, I mean, if somebody was going to blow him away, but they're offering basically the same money, maybe even a little less. So why would he leave that? I'm winning. I'm playing with Tom Brady. I'm on grass. It's Florida, no tax.
He was playoff Lenny. He took over games. He went full-on beast mode, starting up at Lambeau Field, right?
Right.
Well, so all of a sudden, there's only one player left out there for Tampa Bay. Everybody's coming back. So far, only Antonio Brown.
And I expect him to be back basically for the same money that he got last year. I mean, these were the two, Skip, that was really easy. All the rest of them, okay, we franchise one, you know, we give Ndamukong Suh maybe $1 million raise. These were always the two simplest ones that made sense to me. That what are the options?
Well, you thought, no way could they bring all these players back. No. They're on track right now to bring them all back.
The big four, Levante David, Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett, and Chris Godwin. No, I didn't think they could bring all four of those guys back.
I think Tom Brady's back.
Yeah, Tom said he could find a way, and boy, they are finding a way. This should be fun. This should be interesting. That is it for us. Great stuff all week, Skip and Shannon. Enjoy your weekend. We're back at the same time Monday morning. The Herd's on now. Have a good one.
Undisputed.